Hi guys, and welcome to my review of chapter 840 of One Piece Iron Mask. This chapter actually gave us a lot of information and it answered a lot of our questions. So yeah, let's just get into it. Let's start with the obvious. I'm gonna stop playing with this. Let's start with the obvious stuff of the science, because I feel like that was a big part of the chapter. It's where we started, and it's the things that I think we can discuss the least because they're more hardcore facts. So yeah, basically we find out that the Germa scientist, Judge, and his partner's co-worker Vegapunk back in the day figured out that you could create life. And that's how these soldiers are created. They are created artificially, and it takes 5 years to make a soldier that is 20 years in age, in body and in experience. The soldiers don't know that they are artificially made. They think they are real humans, which I find a little weird because some of them would be like, okay, we look alike, that's a bit weird, but I mean, they probably have enough different people for this to work or something. Who knows? Or maybe they just sacrifice enough people every day. That's not really important. The important thing is that they can manufacture their soldiers and they are very obedient because of this, and they don't know themselves that they are not real humans. We also find out in relation to the science thing that the Vinsmoke children, they are not necessarily manufactured like the soldiers are because they had a mother, and they are of course of the same, they have some sort of the same genes, they look alike and stuff like that. They have the curly eyebrows, so of course they are related. So I'm guessing that they took DNA or something and did something to it or whatever, because I don't know how it works. Because the thing is, we find out in this chapter that all of the Vinsmoke children are their DNA is different. They are above normal humans. They're exoskeleton or something. They harden. So that's they're not cyborgs, as I keep saying that Yonji is. They are just they have harder, not skin, but exoskeleton or whatever the fuck it's called. I shouldn't swear this much. I'm sorry for anyone who saw my live reaction. I swore a lot in that video. So that's why they are so hard and stuff. But yeah, so that's most of the children. But then Sanji, as we find out, has not, for some reason, gotten these attributes and these bodily functions. He's just a regular human, which is very disappointing to his father because he wanted these super soldiers. So this is why Sanji always fell behind, because he was just a regular human. And I'm guessing his eyebrows or something, because he's literally genetically different from them because he doesn't have these superhuman attributes. So that's why his eyebrows are different. Also, I noticed when you look at the panels, you had the training montage we got. We always had, of course, Sanji always falling behind. Then Yonji, Niji, and Ijiji, I don't know why I said in that order, but they moved similarly to each other, but Reiju moved differently from them. So she was very light on her feet, and it looked like when they were running, she looked like she was jumping. So she was still as good as they were, but she did things differently. So I think that's interesting, and I think the reason this might be because she's of course older, so she was not in the quadruple pack. So she might have been the prototype or something. And then when whatever it was, worked on her, they just made 4 at the same time, because of course that makes more sense. Then you have more people, but then maybe the drawback would be that the more people you have, the less I don't want to call it the serum, but the less the thing will work. So for Sanji, it didn't work because there were more people, and it's a chance factor. I don't know. Do you know what I'm understanding? Because there were more of them, there were bigger chances some of them weren't gonna get the attributes. Yeah, okay. But that's the technology, which is super interesting. I really love science. I used to study it too. So yeah, I really I'm loving this. I'm loving this because it's different from Dun Krieg, right? I actually wanted to do a video about parallels between Dun Krieg and the Vinsmokes, but the Vinsmokes are the good kinds of Dun Krieg because they Dunkreek just used weaponry, whereas like the Germa used literal science. Like they actually like use their mind and stuff to modify bodies and stuff. Like it's kind of like Frankie, right? So I think that's really cool. I mean, they're still horrible people and you shouldn't manufacture life, but I think it's really cool for villains. Yeah. Okay, so I want to talk about Reiju, because if you've been following my videos for quite some time, you will know that I really wanted Reiju to be a bad person. But it seems like at least in her childhood, she was a good person, because the only reason that she laughed and was mean to Sanji was because there were other people there, so she had to be, because if not, she would be bullied as well, which makes a lot of sense, to be fair. I mean, she probably wouldn't be bullied that much because she's still a strong person and she could do all the things that her brothers could do. Because, like, Sanji was bullied because he was weak, that's the reason. But yeah, of course, Reiju showing affection towards him would then result in them ganging up on her. I'm guessing that 3 against 1 wouldn't help, especially, like, because if it's Sanji wouldn't really matter, they'd just beat him up and then Reiju would be all alone, so yeah. I mean, it's a good thing that Sanji had someone at the very least, because, I mean, his childhood was just so damn awful. It would have been really sad had he not had anyone. Like, I really wanted that, because that would have been, like, extra sad, but, I mean, it makes sense that way. Also, that way he kind of, like, he learned affection from someone, at the very least. But I want to talk, yeah, I want to talk about Reiju, because, I said this in my live reaction too, because I still do want her to be bad. And she does seem like she has, like she's doing something, because, I didn't say this in a video, I think I pointed it out to someone who commented about it, we had like a discussion. And I said that when we met Reiju for the first time, she actually lied to the Straw Hats, because she said that ever since Sanji had gone missing, her father had been looking for him, which of course doesn't make any sense, because first of all, as we saw in this chapter, they pretended he was dead, like what the hell. Second of all, even if, like, we know that Big Mom have wanted the Germa for quite some time, but you can't marry someone unless you're an adult, and according to Sabo, in the world of the world government, you're not an adult until you're 18, so they wouldn't have been looking for Sanji, if they wanted to sacrifice their daughter of a son, or family member, until he was 18, so that doesn't really make sense. Of course she could just have, like, I don't know, lied because, I don't know, Yeonji was there, I have no fucking clue, I'm sorry I'm swearing so much, but yeah, she did lie to them, so I think we should keep that in mind. On the other hand though, many people are speculating that the handcuffs that Reiju put on Sanji are not real, like, they're fake handcuffs, they won't explode if anything happens. And I mean, that would be a good thing for Sanji, because then he could literally do something and they would be like, we can just, like, blow your hands up, and then it won't work, and that's a good thing. And if you notice in this chapter, because I feel like this is gonna come up when I start discussing this with people, in this chapter, Sanji did not have the handcuffs on his hands. Like, I went through this chapter like 3 times and checked every single panel where we just saw the slightest bit of Sanji's wrists. He does not wear the handcuffs. However, I am 100% certain that this is a mistake Oda made, because if you go back to the chapter before this, chapter 839, he is wearing the handcuffs when he finds Cassette, and from the point that he finds Cassette, he is with Yeonji the entire time, so there would not have been any time for him to take off the handcuffs. Therefore, this has to be a mistake from Oda. So I'm guessing that when the volume comes out, he'll have the handcuffs. So we can't make the argument that Sanji does not have the handcuffs on. Okay, guys? Just making this clear. So basically there's like a 95% chance that Reiju is a good person now, which, I mean, it kind of annoys me, but like half of you guessed that. And I think I convinced like 3 people wrongly that she was a bad person, but I mean, then you were surprised, so yeah. But yeah, that kind of annoys me, because it's been like 839 chapters since we had our last main female antagonist named Alvida. Other than that, I think all our main female antagonists, like, I'm not counting Big Mom now, they have all been men, and they've had female underlings, but the women haven't been, like, the main antagonists, so I would really have wanted for Reiju to, like, be that person who could fill the gap for female antagonists. I mean, Big Mom can still be the antagonist, but I'm still in the theory that she won't be, like, an ally. Of course, now with Reiju kind of on their side, like, we still don't know. I still think there's a possibility that she could have changed her ways, and I'm gonna talk about this later, but she could have changed her ways, so if she's actually, like, with Sanji and the Straw Hats, then that would give them an opportunity to, like, gain, like, the favor of the Vinsmokes, or at least, like through her, gain favor of the Vinsmokes, or at least the soldiers, or something, and then attack Big Mom, and then she could be the final antagonist, because I really don't want Judge, or EGG, or Niji, or Yonji to be, like, the main antagonist of this arc. I really want a woman to take that spot, for once. For once! I'm sorry. But yeah, back to why Reiju might change, because, I mean, again, I just really want her to be bad, but it would be a really good plot twist, because you all know that I made that 30-minute long video talking about how Sanji's chivalry might come to an end, right? And while the first 15 minutes of that video is completely wrong now, there's still a possibility that he could, like, lose his chivalry, and if Reiju turns out to be a bad person, like, obviously his chivalry probably comes from the fact that the only person who was kind to him was a girl, right? So he's probably like, okay, should treat them nicely, because the only one who treated me nicely was a woman. But if she then turns out to have completely turned on him, then that could be the end of his chivalry, because then, like, the origin, like, the sole reason that his chivalry exists, it just kind of shatters if she ends up, like, being a mean person. So yeah. I'm not gonna make a new video about this, because I still stand by what I said in the video, except that half of it was wrong, but the other half is still, like, watch the second half if you haven't watched it. Link below, somewhere here, maybe. Next, I want to talk about the mother, because I still think that the mother had nothing to do with Sanji's chivalry and stuff like that, because it did say that she died very young. She died a long time ago, and Judd said this when Sanji was, like, 7 or 6 years old, so she must have died, like, a long time ago. But he also said something along the lines of don't continue her legacy or something. And this was when Sanji had cooked that food for the mouse or the rat or what it was. I don't know if it was a mouse or a rat. So, see, because I'm conflicted here, because obviously I'd like to think that, okay, so she was a chef or what, but I just couldn't imagine Judge choosing a chef to carry his children? Like, in my mind, that doesn't make any sense, but it could, like, have been a hobby of hers, or she could have made food for them when they were ill, or something of the sort. But I am thinking that he got his, like, desire for cooking from his mother now, because that kind of makes sense, I guess. But what I am expecting now, I am expecting 2 flashbacks, to reveal how Sanji got into cooking and why his dream is the all blue, because he did have that before Seth, like, that's the reason that Seth was good to him, because they had the same dream, and how he left. I'm expecting the second reason to be like, okay, Reiju helped him escape because she was nice to him when they were children, and it wouldn't have been too hard for her to just sneak down in the dungeons and just let Sanji out and be like, okay, just leave now, no one will actually know that you're not here because we are pretending that you don't exist. So yeah, I think, like, she must be the reason that he got away. So good for you, Reiju. I really want to, I think I might be the only person who wants this, but I really do want to see how Sanji, like, ended up in the orbit, and how he, like, because it must have been so different for him to, like, go from his family, where he, like, only had Reiju, to this ship where, seemingly, from what we saw in his initial flashback, all these chefs and people on the ship, they were really nice. I mean, and they treated him well, and, like, Sanji is such a nice person. Like, I'm expecting he got that from, like, maybe partly from Reiju, but, like, it must have been the first experience he's ever had where, like, men were treating him nicely. So I would really love to see that, because one thing that I really find interesting in Sanji's flashback, I've been reading it a couple of times since we've started this year of Sanji, and Sanji has this really interesting line where he asks Seth why he's, like, acting the way he's acting, because he literally ate his own leg for Sanji. And yes, Seth is like, okay, it's because we have the same dream and all, but it's like, in Sanji's mind, he can't understand the fact that Seth is so willingly giving up his pride in battle for a child he doesn't even know, who, I mean, kindness is not a thing that Sanji is experienced with. I mean, yeah, Reiju did stitch him up, like bandage him up and stuff, but she also did laugh at him because she was out for herself as much as he was out for her. Like, she never sacrificed her own safety and her own, like, yeah, her own security, safety and security, that's the same thing. But she never sacrificed her own, like, safety in, the family for Sanji's sake, because she never stood up to him when others were around. She just like, oh, okay, they're being bullied. I mean, at least I'm here for you, but I won't be here for you when the others are around. Do you get it? Like, Seth actually sacrificed his leg for Sanji, but Reiju never did so. So, yeah, I think that's super interesting because, yeah, Reiju was kind, but she was never... Yeah, she never gave him, like, the what he really needed. He needed someone to stand up for him. Yeah. But yeah, guys, I think this chapter actually provided us with a lot of answers and not much to speculate about. I'm expecting that next chapter we won't stay with the Vinsmokes because now we've had quite a few chapters focusing on them. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing where the story is next. And sorry about everything being a bit late, but, like, chapters coming out on Wednesday seriously fucks up my entire schedule. Like, I was in class and then the chapter dropped and I was just like, what the hell, what do I do now? So yeah, also, what do you think of my new light? I got, like, some professional light stuff. I don't know, because now before I just used, like, this weird lamp that made everything really orange, but this should be better. So yeah, tell me what you think of that. But yeah, I think this is it for me. Leave a like on the video if you liked anything that I had to say. Leave in the comments below what you thought of the chapter, what you think of Reiju, what you think of, like, everything that I've discussed, and if I missed anything. And yeah, subscribe to me if you want to see more of me. I also do videos on Haikyuu, Circuit, and Boku no Hero Academia, so if you're into any of those, you can subscribe to me. And until next time, bye!